Hasuda and Mahiro head into the palace to find Nyarko confronting the brainwashed Kyuko. Mahiro pleads with them not to fight with each other, and Kyuko lets them go as she fights Nyarko. Nyarko is normally stronger than Kyuko, but since she can't transform, she tricks Kyuko by pretending she has photos of herself in a swimsuit. Kyuko falls for the trap and is defeated. She tries to submit to Nyarko, who demands to know why Kyuko has turned on them and is shocked by what Kyuko tells her. Mahiro and Hasuda arrive at the laboratory where Yuriko is being held, and they find out that the Run kidnapped her to help her company create the best gaming console. This is because Yuriko is a huge gamer and one of their most valuable customers. Nyarko and Kyuko arrive, and they reveal that Hasuda's father runs a rival gaming company, and the nun is determined to beat his company in the upcoming console war for the best neural gaming console. However, Yuriko, who has been examining the consoles, tells them that the company will not do well, because it seems the company has invested enough into a library of game exclusives. Nyarko turns into her armored form to prepare for a fight, but Lahi the nun gets a phone call saying that she has been fired from the company. Lahi is determined to keep her job and turns on the palace's defenses. And the palace is filled with monsters that are stuck in a virtual reality zombie game who attack them. However, Yuriko is able to disable and defeat the monsters with her forks. Since the next generation console is bugged, Lahi allows them to destroy it. And since Kyuko has a great love for games, she sadly destroys the console. Hasuda later thanks Mahiro for their help and leaves, but they find out later he has transferred into their class so that he can be closer to Mahiro. As thanks for saving her, Yuriko decides to take them all on a beach trip, and Mahiro is reluctantly forced to come. Mahiro's normal friends also come to the trip, and they're not sure what Shantakun is. And that night, Nyarko forces Hasuda to take his bath alone as they are now rivals. Nyarko then later ambushes Mahiro at night, but Mahiro defends himself and traps Nyarko using forks to his bed. Later at breakfast, Nyarko tries to exaggerate the night before, but Mahiro tells everyone nothing happened. Hasuda runs away crying while Nyarko tries to come up with baby names. Mahiro tries to ask his mom Yuriko for help, but she is starting to approve of Nyarko, and the Cthulhu girl is excited about a potential future with Mahiro as she comes up with more schemes. Mahiro goes to the beach to clear his head, and he meets Hasuda, who is quickly defeated by Nyarko. Nyarko tries to take him on a date, so he is forced to hide, and he later finds Kyuko playing video games in a beach hut. But Kyuko is still depressed over the console game war, so Mahiro tries to cheer her up. They find Lahi is on the beach too, who reveals that after she was fired, she started a takoyaki stand on the beach. She also apologizes to Hasuda for interfering with his father's company. Mahiro later finds out that the takoyaki is made from Cthulhu and tries to warn his friends from eating the food. Nyarko tries to get Mahiro to go on a date with her, but becomes depressed when he tells her that he does not like her at all. Yoichi tells Mahiro that he might have been too harsh, and Kyuko tries to take advantage of the situation before Mahiro steps in. Yuriko then arrives and tells Mahiro to be kinder to Nyarko because she has fought so hard for them. Mahiro ultimately apologizes to Nyarko and asks her on a date into town, and the two go shopping and eat food together. They end up going to a shrine and then buying sparklers at the festival to use at sunset. Nyarko later tells him that she enjoyed their date, and that at the shrine she prayed for happiness with him and she will never stop loving him. The next day, Yuriko takes the group souvenir shopping together, and as they have fun, Yoichi teases Mahiro, who can't stop thinking about Nyarko's confession. At the store, Mahiro finds an old gaming console and clicks the play button. He suddenly wakes up at home where his mother Yuriko is acting very strange. Mahiro wonders what happened to the group, and he runs into Nyarko, who seems to be acting very innocent. He also sees Kyuko, who has become soft-spoken and treats him kindly, as well as Hasuda, who has become sporty. Mahiro later finds Yoichi has become a gaming NPC, and Lahi arrives to tell him he is trapped in a dating simulator game which has eaten the group. Lahi tells him that the characters of the gaming sim have fused with his friends, and to leave the game he needs to get to one of the game's endings. Before Lahi's signal is interrupted, she warns him to be careful. Secretly, most of his friends are not as affected as they seem and want to use the game for their own goals. Nyarko approaches Mahiro and insists they set as many flags as possible together so they can leave the game. She tries to make a swimming event, but Kyuko interrupts them. Mahiro then rapidly experiences different game events, from an encounter with Hasuda, Kyuko attacking him, and Nyarko trying to perform a song. Mahiro later has to work in a cafe with Nyarko, and at the cafe, Nyarko and Kyuko start arguing with each other. Exhausted, Mahiro goes home, and Yuriko asks him if he has chosen a love route to pursue so they can leave the game. A tired Mahiro goes through many game events, and on Christmas he is given a mini Hasuda from the real Hasuda, lingerie from Kyuko that she takes back for herself, and a marriage registration from Nyarko which he tears up. She then gives him his real present, which is a scarf she made for him. The game then forces the characters to fight each other, and the three fight to get their own game ending. Mahiro then finds himself locked in a closet with Tomo, who confesses to him. At the duel, Nyarko barely wins and is able to get to Mahiro at the game's closing event at a hilltop tree. She asks for a kiss so they can finish the route and leave the game. And although uncertain at first and embarrassed, Mahiro kisses Nyarko and they finish the game. The group then return to the real world, having no memory of what happened, except for Mahiro, who remembered everything. And that night Mahiro has a dream about his kiss with Nyarko, waking up in the morning to Nyarko hiding in a body pillow, so he kicks her out. Later at school, Tamo cheers up Nyarko, and Mahiro tells her they need to go grocery shopping because Yuriko will be hunting monsters. Nyarko plans to ditch Hasuda and Kyuko so she can get a date with Mahiro, but her attempts to attract Mahiro only work on Kyuko. They all end up trying on glasses, and everyone ignores Kyuko. After they try out different pajamas at a store, Nyarko gets a call from headquarters about the Dreamlands. The Dreamlands are important for protecting human dreams, so Nyarko has been ordered to look into issues there. Suddenly, Nodens arrives on stage declaring himself ruler of the earth, and Lahi arrives as a magical girl to fight him. But she later runs away because it was all a kid's play. And that evening, Tamo suddenly confronts them and attacks. Mahiro then wakes up after somehow swapping bodies with Nyarko. Hasuda explains that an alien time traveler named Isuko arrived to protect the earth and has temporarily taken over Tamo's body. She also apologizes for accidentally switching Mahiro's and Nyarko's bodies. Isuka has been sent to this time period because extreme members of her race plan to subvert the consciousness of the human race. She then leaves, saying she will fix their body switch problem tomorrow. Mahiro has trouble adapting to Nyarko's body, and Kyuko tries to take advantage of the situation before Mahiro fights her and Hasuda off. She then notices Nyarko is acting strangely happy. To better defend himself, he manipulates Kyuko into keeping watch over his own body and Hasuda in exchange for a future favor while he is Nyarko. But at school, Nyarko takes advantage of the situation by asking Mahiro and her body to marry her. Nyarko then tries to confess to him and the teacher kicks them out. Isuka and Tamo's body arrives and apologizes for being late to school as she spent all night playing video games. They feed her food and she tells them she can switch their bodies back that night. But Isuka states that in her time period the Earth had been destroyed by aliens, and the time travelers are not sure why. At school they notice Yoichi is missing, so they investigate his house to find that he has been taken over by an extremist named Isurugi. He plans to use a machine to take over the minds of humans so his species can have better movies and video games. Since Nyarko is still in his body, Mahiro asks Hasuda and Kyuko to fight for them. However, Isurugi uses a device to cancel their powers. Isuka arrives and cancels his device, but then he cancels her device. Eventually, Isuka runs out of battery and Isurugi's device is unleashed. But the device doesn't seem to do anything, so they quickly defeat Isurugi. Suddenly, the president of the extremists communicates through the device and reveals he has fooled Isurugi, and the device will actually destroy Earth. He represents aliens who despise entertainment, and they want Earth eliminated to protect space children from corruption. The group attacks the alien device, with Mahiro using Nyarko's body to protect Yoichi. But when he is almost killed by the alien, Nyarko takes the hit. They grieve over the fallen Nyarko, but she was just faking injuries so she can kiss Mahiro. Nyarko reveals that she used the black charm from earlier to protect his body, and their distraction gives Isuka enough time for her device to charge and switch their bodies back to normal. With Nyarko back in her body, she transforms into her armored form and easily destroys the machine. Isuka then thanks them, and she leaves with Isurugi. But Isuka actually didn't leave, because she wanted to stay with Tamo and play video games. And that night she teases Tamo about her crush on Mahiro. One day while trying to take a nap, Mahiro becomes angry that his house is full of aliens that just want to play video games. Suddenly a girl named Gyutan and her butler Roy arrive at the house, explaining to Mahiro that his mother Yuriko invited them to visit. Yuriko explains over the phone that the girl seems lost and she sends Gyutan to see if Nyarko can help. Nyarko calls her headquarters and the space police to see if they can help, and she wants to use this opportunity to prove to Yuriko she would be a good future mother. Nyarko tries to teach Gyutan the benefits of dating sim games, but Mahiro quickly intervenes. The kitchen suddenly explodes and several insects appear, and Nyarko uses her mirror to capture them. Mahiro starts to argue with her, but gets embarrassed remembering their kiss together. Since they've caused a mess in his house, Mahiro kicks them all out except for Gyutan. He cleans up the living room and feeds her, while Roy explains that Gyutan normally has many maids. He wonders if this is what having a little sister is like. And the rest of the group arrive upset that Mahiro made food without them. They chase him throughout town past Yoichi, Tamo, and Logi, who are unable to hide him. Suddenly, Mahiro runs into Shaggoths in the streets and Nyarko arrives to defeat them in her armored form so she can get more combat experience. Kyuko and Hasuda also help fight them off, but at the end of the battle they discover Gyudatten was injured in the scuffle. An angry Mahiro scolds Nyarko and the group and orders them to all go back to space. But that night they are missing for dinner, and the next morning a panicked Mahiro finds out that everyone is gone. Mahiro is confused but is at first happy he can have a relaxing morning. However, he grows restless over time and starts to miss the others. Since he has nothing to do, he goes into town, but he quickly discovers that everyone in the city has seemingly disappeared. He tries calling all the contacts on his phone but nobody picks up. Mahiro goes to the school to investigate, but he doesn't find anyone there while he remembers the fun times he had with his friends. He also investigates the shopping district, the beach where they all went to, and the shrine he prayed with Nyarko, but he doesn't find anyone. Suddenly the sky darkens and he is attacked by a monster. Mahiro is cornered so he asks Nyarko for help but she doesn't appear. Lucky for him he had her mirror so Mahiro is able to capture the monster. Gyudatten arrives and Mahiro asks her if she can somehow reverse the situation. But the alien girl's butler Roy transforms and attacks him. Nyarko suddenly appears from the mirror as she hears him call for help, and she is able to use her power to break a spell that is trapping him in a false reality. Roy reveals that he captured Mahiro because he is a big fan of dating sims, and she wanted to use his relationship with Nyarko to have her lead him to the ultimate dating game. The fight with the Shaggoths was also his plan to drive a wedge between Mahiro and Nyarko so that he can punish Mahiro for disliking dating sims. Nyarko turns into her armored form and with Kyuko and Hasuda the three fight against Roy's minion. The group also receive reinforcements with Yuriko riding Shantakun and Lai using her ice magic. And when Roy temporarily captures Nyarko, Mahiro helps free her and she is able to summon her ultimate close combat sword and defeat him. They call the space police who will come to get Gyudatten, and the alien girl apologizes for the trouble she has caused, and Mahiro gets jumped by everyone. That evening they celebrate with a barbecue together, and while they are alone together Nyarko confesses to Mahiro once more. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it and I will see you in the next one.